Because I find that Islam, it's only my perception, it's not my view, doesn't have that much of tolerance and forgiveness as other religions. Please.
I would suggest that you read the life of the Prophet to see where tolerance and forgiveness is expressed, as the originator of the final message of Islam, to see how it is expressed there. And if you read also the Quran, you will find tolerance and forgiveness and mercy expressed throughout it. In fact, each chapter of the Quran is begun with the phrase Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. So that is the teaching of Islam. If you find some Muslims intolerant, and I won't deny that they may not have been, and they're not around today too, that is their individual practices or ignorance or whatever, emotionality or whatever. But that is not the teaching of Islam. If we consider, for example, the greatest example, one of the big examples from the life of the Prophet, that when he was driven out of Mecca with his followers, and followers were murdered, their wealth taken, eventually, after some 10 years, he came back and reconquered Mecca without a fight. Mecca surrendered. And the people of Mecca were wondering what is going to happen to us, because how we treated you previously, we killed you and did all these different things to you. Then they were expecting what they normally do when they capture an area is they kill everybody. They slaughter them, they take their women and wealth, and this is what they were doing. So they asked him, what are you going to do to us? You are one of us. Are you going to be merciful to us? He said, go all of you, you are free. Go all of you, you are free. That was his magnanimity. That was his generosity. That was his kindness. That was his tolerance. And that is the example throughout actually Muslim history. If we look at the great points, we look at the difference between when Salahuddin, if you're looking at conquering, for example, when Salahuddin conquered Palestine. Palestine had been conquered by the Crusaders 100 years before. And when they came in, according to Crusader history, they massacred all of the inhabitants. Their horses marched in the streets with blood up to the ankles of the horses. They massacred not only the Muslims, but the Jews who were there, as well as the Christians who didn't follow their own brand of Christianity. And when Salahuddin conquered Jerusalem, he spared everyone. He spared everyone. No life was taken. And that was in keeping with the example of the Prophet. Before him, Omar, the second caliph, took Jerusalem. And he did the same. So there was an example set by the Prophet. Historically, people follow that example for the most part, but there are examples in history where people didn't. So when we are to look at these different examples, we judge them according to the original example. We say, well, this is what Islam actually taught, but these people did something other than its teachings. So Islam really is a religion full of tolerance, full of forgiveness. But sometimes we find that Muslims aren't.
My name is Ramnathan, a former employee of the United Nations. I would like to know the meaning of the term hadith.
A hadith meaning conversation, literally in English translation, or something new. From the context, the technical term in Arabic, it refers to the sayings, actions, approvals of the Prophet. The Quran represents direct revelation. Yes, it came on the tongue of the Prophet, but it's direct words of God recorded and memorized. Then the implementation of the Quran says pray, but doesn't tell you how many times to pray, when to pray, how to pray. It just says pray. The hadith now clarifies the details. So the Prophet's life, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, is contained within the hadith as the example.
Is there any sisters of other faiths there?
As per God's word, Islam believes in God's birth, Jesus Christ's birth and his second coming. And why it doesn't believe in God's death? Please kindly explain me.
As you said, Islam believes in God's birth. No, we don't. We believe in Jesus' birth. God, one of the basic attributes of God is that he is eternal. Once we say that God is eternal, to speak about his birth or his death is contradictory. He is without beginning, without end. Everything else of his creation has a beginning and has an end. So we don't speak of God's birth, nor do we speak of God's death. We speak of Jesus' birth, and we do not believe that Jesus was God. Jesus, we believe, was a prophet of God. We do believe he was born of a virgin, that Mary was not married. In Islamic tradition, in the Quran, you will not find any mention of marriage there at all. So we do believe in the virgin birth. But the virgin birth was still, by the will of God, an act of creation of God, not proof that Jesus was God, because we believe Eve was born without a mother. So if Jesus was God because he was born without a father, then what do we say of Eve? Furthermore, Adam was born or came into being without father and mother. So what do we say of Adam? So we look at Jesus' birth, though miraculous, as being a part of the four modes of creation. God may create us without a father and mother, or with father and mother, or without a father, or without a mother. These are the four possibilities.
Yes. One of the most confusing words which we have in Islam is jihad. I would like to know the real meaning and the purpose of jihad.
Jihad, Arabic word, means to struggle, to strive, to do something good, to overcome something evil. The Prophet said, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, the best jihad is a perfect hajj, perfect pilgrimage. Because in going to make pilgrimage, you have to control yourself. People will step on your toes, people will, maybe you'll lose some of your provisions. You know, you will find difficulty. And people crush together, 3 million people in one location. You can imagine, there will be people's tempers, all these things will be there. And you will be driven to want to argue or to shout or to get upset, but you're told to be calm, to be patient. The perfect hajj, which one is able to get through those 8 days without flying off the handle, you know, arguing with people next to you, shouting at somebody else, but patiently bearing whatever difficulties you find. So the Prophet said this was the best jihad. Hajj was the best jihad. So this is telling us that the term jihad, though today it is associated with picking up a gun and trying to kill somebody, this is not the original meaning of the term. Now, jihad has a variety of different levels. It may require that one picks up a gun, to defend one's life or to defend one's community where one comes under attack. Yes, this is there too. But it starts at the most basic level in the heart. On another occasion, the Prophet had said that the greater jihad is the jihad